everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Dr. Princess Fumi Hancock. I'm a board-certified psychiatric mental health doctor of nurse practice in Arizona. I own more than 2 clinics out here where we take care of those who are going through trauma. Now, how many of you know that the world literally have been through a whole lot in this pandemic and are still going through a whole lot. And because of that, there's been stories of people who are dealing with trauma and ranging from even 4-year-olds that we see here at the clinic out here, all the way up to, forever like 94. My youngest patient is 4 years old, and then my oldest is 94. So a lot of things have been going on, and this month, October, is the month of, we call it mental health screening month. So my question to you today is, have you been screened for mental health? A lot of times people, because of stigma and depend on the culture that you come from, I happen to come from African culture, we tend to come from silent cultures. Those who come from silent cultures have a very a hard difficulty in reaching out for help. So this month is a month that those who are in the mental health profession are literally reaching out and encouraging people to do some screening. So having said that, there's one thing that is very, very prevalent, that has been incredibly prevalent during this pandemic that I want to talk about today. And that's the issue of suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation, right? Many of us, without necessarily defining it, we know what suicide means, somebody who attempts to take their life, right? This is something that I've also experienced myself over 25 years ago. And one of the reasons at least, why I am who I am today, being a psychiatric provider. And so attempting suicide and completing suicide, right, is when you try to take your life. When we talk about suicidal ideation, right, some of it could be passive, some can be active. When we say passive, it's something that you have at the back of your mind, right? You just have that thing at the back of your mind. You wish some things, you wish to die. You don't necessarily have a plan. You don't necessarily have an intent, but that thought is just lingering on, more so louder than not. All right. So we do have some that are very quite active. And when you talk about active, some of my patients will often tell me, oh, I hear it constantly every day. And when I walk into outside on the street, something tells me, I wonder what happens if I just jump in front of a car, things like that, So, and we know that nearly 40,000 people in the United States, let's think about this. According to statistics that was done several years ago, right? Nearly 40,000 people in the United States die by suicide each year. And this is more than those who die by homicide. All right. Now, this was just like 2007. Now, imagine what's been going on with the pandemic. Just imagine that. We're talking about an overall rate of 11.3 suicide deaths per 100,000 people right here in America. We're not even talking about other countries. Now, what are the things that could cause it? Genetics can be one of it. There are people that are born into families with a history of mental illness or even suicidal thoughts. And these people are at a higher risk of developing suicidal thoughts or mental illness themselves. There's also the physical component to it, where it's thought that abnormally low levels of neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin, I'll talk about that in some other time, dopamine and serotonin, if you either have too much of one or you have not enough of one, can actually literally change the structure of your brain. And because of that, that could actually cause suicidal thoughts and behavior. And then, of course, we also have the environmental issues where those that are bombarded with repeated negative life events. They're just going from one life event. They're traumatized from one life event, bad events, to the other. They are also susceptible to it. So when we talk about risk factors of those who tend to have suicidal thought or suicidal ideation, if you go untreated, if you have a mental disorder that goes untreated, you are susceptible to it. If you have a prior history of suicide attempt, there you go. If you have a family history of suicide or mental disorder, that's also part of it. If your family have been through or you have been through domestic violence, like, I happen to have that situation several years ago where you could tend to have that too. Having guns in the home can actually trigger people who already have that. They're already predisposed to it, right? If you've been incarcerated today, that could be another risk factor. Now, if you are male, that's even a risk factor, because how many of you know that our male people tend to hold things in, right? Because they're not expected to cry in public. They're not expected to share. So what are the signs? What are the symptoms of suicidal thought, suicidal ideation? When you find somebody giving away their prized possession, right? When you hear them talking more about death and dying, when they're using phrases like, when I'm gone, or I'm going to kill myself, when they're getting affairs in order, when they're saying goodbye to loved ones, when they're obtaining items needed for suicide attempt, when they have decreased social contact, when they're increasing in drug or alcohol usage, when they're withdrawing from things that were so pleasurable for them before, and all of a sudden they are withdrawing from it, when they have increased risk behavior, right? Risk behavior. Then we also talk about physical symptoms, which could be scars or injuries from the past of suicide attempts. They have changes in eating or sleeping habits. They have chronic or terminal illness that could get them to start thinking about it. When we talk about cognitive symptoms, we're talking about preoccupation with death and dying. When they have believed that dying by suicide is the only way, the only end, it's only going to end their emotional pain, right? When they're feeling helpless, when they feel trapped by their emotional pain, when they're going through even psychosis, can also do that. When they have self-loathing, when they're hopeless, when they're worthless, when they have paranoia going on, when they have intense emotional pain, when they're feeling hopeless about a situation, when they have mood swings, today they are hot, tomorrow they're cold, and it's just all over the place, when they have sudden changes in personality or even severe anxiety and agitation. These are telltale signs that that person needs to seek help. All right. What else do I want you to know? Let's talk about a little bit about co-occurring disorders. That is, suicidal thoughts just do not stand by itself. They often come with depressive disorders. They often come with bipolar disorder. They often come with borderline personality disorder. They come with anxiety disorder, panic disorder. Substance abuse and addiction is also a co-occurring. They often come with, some will even come with alcoholism, some with schizophrenic tendencies, some with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and some with psychosis and paranoia. Now, if you need more help, if you know that you need help, please, I will urge you, all you have to do is just Google it and find somebody in your community. For more information on pobpsychiatry, just text. Let's do that. pobpsychiatry.com, where you will find more information on this topic and a whole lot of other topics and places, news, media where I have been featured. If you have questions, please seek help, right? That is pivotal to your health, to you being alive. Until next time, be inspired, be motivated, be of sentimental value. Understand that you are the hero in your life story. Do not allow anybody to rewrite your story any kind of shady way. Until next time, it's bye for now.